Yeah, but
I do like how
can tag everyone.
I do
just
like
to make
how
people
helpful it is.
angry.
Our stream status is bad.
Yeah. Can you open the link now? It should be live.
I understand the issue. I've been having issues with it for the last 4 semesters.
I can literally
Instead of hurt more than
Maybe I just need to give it a minute.
How's it looking?
There we go. We're good.
Okay.
semester after
You're good.
recurring. That's kept it short. It's more than one.
So anybody watching right now can hear the full content. Yeah, the audio coming loud and clear on this thing for the 5 seconds that it was on. Well, no. Maybe not loud and clear.
It's okay. That's
Jacob's not even
very
here.
blatant and open guidelines.
Well, the link hasn't even like shared with it. Just pretty standard.
I mean, yeah, it says the whole thing.
Oh, right. No, we're not.
Are we good on stream?
I did not put the brackets like this intentionally. They all have to be.
I told him
Yes.
I told him actually my favorite piece.
I'm saying that our favorite candy that. Oh wait, sorry, I do pretty much react to every single thing we put on Slack ever.
Yeah, use the best.
Yes.
The best one of those weird like symbol ones. Yeah.
She did tell me she was coming, so.
Hopefully, like by the end of this, I'll just get a majority of people in RAJ to join.
I know you can use up to 20 symbols at once.
I'm not going to. Is that allowed? Is that allowed? Nor is it what? It's allowed? What? Oh, wait, or the other proxy?
Blame Xavier?
Leo, we have a policy for senators to send a proxy.
Yeah, yes.
Because Matea just commented on the live stream saying that she is watching and voting by proxy. Yes.
I don't think we have anything for it, but as long as she's
Cool.
part of the conversation.
Has she like informed the executive about this?
Yes.
I'm a bit surprised. So does she mean voting by proxy like as a list, or does she?
She means she will be texting.
She's just gonna be talking.
I just assume that.
How are you? Find a seat.
Yeah, I have your number.
Alright, sorry,
Anything without a name tag.
Especially in the CS building.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yes.
Why is it called this?
I'll try my best.
Just because it's called computer science. Department of. I mean, it's not like the Alan Turing Memorial
College
School
of
of Computer Science. I hope not.
I will donate it under your name.
No, it's not. Nothing could ever be named after me and be good. And I'm okay with it.
I don't know. What if I put in a giant donation under your name so that I have to name it?
That's how you accept
Computer science.
No, but it's like,
This is back when you were doing when you were
2 people are watching now.
no.
But
Same with you, but.
since when you have my last name?
Did you share the link tonight?
Haha.
Yeah.
Alright, guys. Sorry for the late start, but our executive vice president is on the way. Come on. Find a seat where there's no name tag.
Oh my god, what did you do?
Guys, move forward.
He punched a bear really hard.
So, we're starting a bit late because our executive vice president is actually stuck in lab currently. She's making her way here soon, but I'll be leading you guys until she gets here. So, welcome to our second Senate here for the semester. For those who are new here, my name is Leo. I'm the president of student government, and you'll get to know everybody else while they do their reports, the executive board, and we have the senators and other members around. Can the senators please rise? Jelani? Yes. Chandran? And Akash. Where's Akash?
You're right here.
Alright. Whenever you guys are ready.
We, the Student Senate of the Illinois Institute of Technology, reaffirm our responsibility to loyally represent the student body and effectively improve the quality of campus life.
Thank you. So, what we have left from last semester is Meta's rules over here. Still Meta's rules, who is our executive vice president from last year. So for now, we're still continuing with those because they worked effectively. So first one is raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged by the chair. Right now it's me. I love that it says it. It's usually the executive vice president who's on her way. Once I point at that person, you can begin talking. If you agree with something that was said, just snap, or you can do a one-hand clap. That way we can get a sense of how everybody's thinking in the room. And be concise. If you have a point, just get to the point, make it as quick and to the point as you can. And stay relevant to the topic. These rules apply for both SGA and non-SGA members. So, unfinished business, we have voting on constitution changes. You guys remember that from last time. I'm actually going to wait until it's my report, and that's when I'll present to you guys everything that we discussed last time. I'll go over it quickly. I did the changes that we suggested last time, so we should be able to vote on that today, whether we approve the changes or not. For new business, we have 2 new student organizations today. We're going to start with GSA, so if you guys can come up here. You'll have 5 minutes to present. I have your presentation ready here. And after that, you'll get 5 minutes for questions.
I can start?
Yep.
Hi everyone, my name is Shahines. I'm a graduate student at the Chemical and Biological Engineering Department. I will be presenting today our association, the GSA Graduate Student Association, GSA CHBE at Illinois Tech. Where I can
Just click next on the keyboard.
So the purpose of our organization is to improve the overall experience of graduate students at the IIT CHBE, and our purpose too is like professional development and interaction with other students and alumni who are in the various period of their career, and enlarge the student social network. Actually, our organization includes 5 student board members, executive board members. We have 2 advisors, faculty and staff advisor, and we have also like 11 students who intend to create the GSA CHBE association. So we are planning to recruit more student members and organize election every year. Our way to attract, our attracting process is and how we're gonna keep people in our organization, in our association, is very important for us. So our key for that is communication first, is listening and acting. GSA CHBE is open to everyone and accessible. We have already a Facebook page and an email where everyone can send his concern. We already had some activities and events. As you can see, we had on August 17th the barbecue. We had also a beach event, and every week we are planning to have lectures. So we are inviting speakers and every time it's a different subject. And we have also like workshops. So last week we had a MATLAB tutorial as a workshop on the Labor Day. So this is some pictures of the event that we had. Like you can see the barbecue, the lectures. We have pizza after freshmen after each lectures, and yeah. So we are planning to have other events for sure in the semester, like professor talk, workshops, restaurant with professors, so lab activities. For our budget, as a new organization, so our estimated budget is limited to $3,000. So our chair of department already, so our department is helping us in the event that we already had. So they have been funding our first events, the lectures, the barbecue, and as you can see, like we spent for the barbecue about $296, and for every lectures we have pizza and refreshment, and every time. So for the moment, the department was funding our events. Like this is a sample of a bill that we had for the barbecue. Thank you.
So we can start questions. I'm gonna set up 5 minutes. Tom?
Does the CHB stand for something else, or like major, or does it stand for anything?
Yeah, it's a social association. Like it is for a student from the chemical engineering department, like for the technical stuff, like the lectures that we are having or the tutorial. But for the social stuff, it's open to everyone. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you distinguish your organization from AICHE, which is American Institute of Chemical Engineers?
Oh, so our association is more about networking, like creating social event, like having students getting together. Our objective is like listening to the student concern, you know, and trying to make student life better.
Can I add to that? The distinction is that GSA is for graduate student,
Do you wanna
and
come up
the
here?
AICHE is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Because the mic is right there, so whoever's watching can hear you better.
I'm sorry. I forgot I raised my hand.
No, do you want to come up here?
Step up. Oh, okay.
He's our president, Mohsen.
Okay. So the distinction is that AICHE is for undergraduate, they're independent, but GSA is for graduate students. Yeah. Yeah.
Soren,
this is a
wait.
question.
Soren first, and then you can go.
So you mentioned that you have a couple of faculty and staff advisors, and you also currently have some board members selected. Do you have a plan in place already to make sure that when people who, students who are part of the organization now eventually graduate and leave, that the organization will continue?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you want to answer it? In December, we're gonna have the election, so, and we already started to bring in people. So because, for example, me, I'm serving as a president, but I was not elected, just because of my advisor, I'm serving. So I'm gonna graduate next year. We're already starting to bringing people in and training them, telling them about the mission and what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Samir?
Yes. So I brought up a question in the past regarding the GSA CHBE being only for chemical and biological engineers. Would you guys be open to starting up the Graduate Student Association back up again? Basically, the organization that would represent all graduate students here on campus. I do know that you're specializing under chemical and biological engineers, as we discussed in the past. Wouldn't it be possible for you to start up as GSA, start and work as a subsidiary under chemical engineer, and then include all the other departments and start up the GSA once again?
That's a good idea. I didn't know that IIT doesn't have a graduate student association general for all the departments, and does it have it?
We do not. It used to be a thing, but it seemed to have gone away a while ago. And since you guys are starting this up, it might be an interesting proposition, especially, but the whole thing is you guys are starting the organization only under chemical engineers.
Yeah, that's gonna change the whole dynamics of our current organization.
Yes.
We can bring it up in the next meeting and consult with the faculty and see how it goes. Yeah, we are open to that. But that's gonna change the budget and everything, and
Of
the whole
course.
dynamics is gonna change.
Of course.
William, is yours a comment to what's being said? So she has a quick comment, and you can go next.
Well, personally, I think that since there are a lot of graduate students at our school, that it would be good to have a specific one for CG and biological engineers because there are so many. And for your lectures and your get-togethers, I feel as though it would be more useful to your diverse group of people, like of your specific majors, to have those lectures and people who relate to each other. So I know what you're saying about the GSE, but I think having specific organization for their specific majors would be more beneficial for them and not necessarily everybody else.
All right, raise your hands if you still have a question. Gianna, do you have one too? All right, William, go first.
Why do you need $3,000 from SAS?
3,000, well, 2 weeks into the semester, we have held 5 events. And if you saw the bill, I think the projection is gonna be based on that, based on the cost that so far we had.
So you're like,
We are projecting that.
so that's like a standard bill that you're having of 290, like I think it was like 296 something around,
Yeah.
so let's just say so it's like 300.
Yeah.
So that's what you're kind of
Yes,
getting at, that's what.
we're
it's
just
like.
projecting based on our performance up to now.
Okay,
That
and
would
that
be-
was just food, cause it was Peapod, that was just food, right?
Yeah, that was Peapod, and then
Which was good.
Can I get a motion to extend?
Move to extend.
Second.
Second.
How much?
2 minutes.
3 minutes.
Second.
All right, 2 minutes begins. Chianra and then Soren.
Yeah, I have a question because I know some other groups like ECS IIT, which is electrochemical.
Electro.
Yeah, electrochemical. That is similar to you guys, but your name as GSA. I'm wondering if you're more related to professional communications or about student life stuff. I think if you wanna do these stuff, you better you can consider add Sami's suggestion adding other departments, all the graduate students together. If you are more professional, like lecture stuff, you can probably change the name or something to.
Okay, so this is GSA, Graduate Student Association at CHBE. I think you asked CHBE, it's Chemical and Biological Engineering Department. Electrochemical is just one subcategory, one of many fields in the department. So if you want to expand, well, that's exactly opposite of that, because we have electrochemical, we have biochemical, we have energy sectors. So it's very diverse. And I'm not aware of that electrochemical, there is an electrochemical association in our department. Well, if there are, we haven't seen them, and they're not active currently.
I'm saying that if you are doing more lecture stuff, you can form a group like professional lectures, communications, and if you wanna organize more stuff that is not related to which department or which major the students in, then I would suggest you to involve more graduate students from other departments.
Okay.
All right, Soren.
You mentioned, we talked about costs a little bit. You said that you've been getting some funding so far from your department. Is your reason, one of your reasons for applying to be a student organization because you expect that funding to dry up somewhat and you want funding from outside of your department? Or do you think you'll still continue to receive significant funding from your department?
Yeah, when we decided to establish this organization, the initial agreement with the chair of department was that I'm gonna fund you until you get registered. So we're here, and if we don't get the funding from here, probably this would die.
Okay.
All right, last question, Tom.
Are you willing to contact with American Society of Chemical Engineers and Chemical and Biological / Medical Engineer students, undergrad, to sort of like socialize / passing on the legacy / lessons / skills / experience, so that you can feel the next generations to go for the purpose of graduate school if they need to, or they feel like they want to.
So are we willing to cooperate with the undergrad chapter of AICHE?
Or any undergraduate students. That means I'm biomedical.
Uh-huh.
I want to come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking of going for grad school. I want to seek your experience and skills. What would you think about? What should I do? You know, what are good options?
Yeah.
Are you guys were willing to do it?
Sure, that would be something we would consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're out of time. Do you have a burning question you want to ask? Because yes?
No, I'm
We're
with
gonna need an
TA, so-
extension for that.
I don't want an
No
extension.
one
We're gonna
motion.
need a motion to extend.
No.
Just cut it.
Cut it? All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next group can come up now. Soccer Super Fan Club.
Proper football.
You can all go up there if you want.
You're scared.
Don't be shy.
They don't fight much.
The more the
We have
merrier.
5 minutes. No, we're gonna do 5 minutes for questions. 5 minutes, 5 questions. You guys, no, 5 minutes. Present 5 minutes for questions.
All right then.
Guys.
Well, so my name is Rob, and I'm trying to start the Soccer Super Fan Club for the soccer team at IIT. Why we would need one? So I've been to all the guys soccer games and like 2 of the girls soccer games so far. And for my experience from these past couple of games, they have been playing better when like there's a good crowd. Like for example, the very first soccer scrimmage, there was a really big crowd there, and they won really well. They were playing really good. But ever since then, it died down a bit, and I've been staying committed. I'm trying to get this going. It would bring up school pride if we had like a soccer fan club here. More people come to the games, more people would be proud to be part of Hawks. We would have people who would want to go to the soccer games and just win. Team morale goes up. That comes with the soccer team playing better. And then increased involvement in athletics. Maybe more people would pay attention to athletics because studying isn't everything. Like it's a big part of school, but you gotta be active. Club size and activities. We would have at least 10 people. I have 10 people right now, and we would need a big amount of people just to like, or at least like 10 people to have like big super fans with noisemakers and holding posters to bring more people in. We would do like food at the gate, which is what Hawks Nest did, I believe, for the soccer game a couple days ago, for the girls soccer game. But we would have food at the front gate to like lure people in, I guess. We would have free noisemakers, like the little twirly ones, of course, like Vuvuzelas. We would create a fun atmosphere, so it would be fun going to the games, because I don't know if any of you guys were super fans in high school, but I was, and I had a blast. We would do free shirts, So anybody who was a super fan would have like a matching shirt to wear to the game to represent. Advertising to get more people into the club. We would probably have it on the bridge, or we would have our Facebook page as well, and maybe other social media like Twitter or even Instagram, because we all look good. Budget anywhere from $200 to $300. We don't really need that much money. Like, we just need to buy chips for people and shirts and maybe some noisemakers. The soccer coach himself said he would fund a lot of it, like noisemakers and such. So we wouldn't really need that much money. We do need shirts, of course, made, and face paint. We would need face paint.
Necessity.
And do I still have time?
You have a minute and a half.
I can go on. So, from personal experience, being a super fan, it was a lot of fun during high school. I feel like it should be brought to IIT. I had like a really good time. I met a lot of good people there. It was good. It was really fun coming out of classes. Like most of you, I was in all AP, so I was like a nerd. Just going out to the football game, meeting people, having fun. It was a good time. We need something like that here to bring up the morale too. The players do play better. I noticed the players really do. Like, they need support. I don't know, it's just better to play with, like, if you know people are, like, have your back, and they, like, if you see people, like, on the stands, you see a full, if the stands, they see you, if you see that the stands are full, and, like, they're cheering on for you, you're gonna play a lot better. And we need things like that. It's also just fun, like, what we used to do in my high school, we used to have posters, so we would, like, have those big heads, and we would, like, run flags up and down the track. It's just a great experience, and I'm trying to bring it to IIT.
Thank you. All right, we'll begin 5 minutes of questions. Let's go Irma, Sungmin, Ethan, Joanne.
Yes. Have you had any conversations with Union Board and specifically Hawk's Nest and seen what their thoughts are on it? Because that's supposed to be their main job, is having people to go to games, not specifically soccer, but just in general. So just.
I've tried reaching out to the guy from Hawks Nest. I didn't get a chance to yet, but from what I've heard from the soccer coach is that Hawks Nest doesn't really come to the guys' soccer games at all. So it's not really like we would be interfering with anything they do because they don't actually do anything. So that's kind of
Yeah.
Can I add to, like, I think, like, what she's not saying, like, you're not gonna, like, interfere with it, but it's like, why couldn't you just, like, join Hawks Nest and almost encourage them?
No, where my question was coming from was the funding, because a lot of the money they are asking for is free stuff, and SGA, or especially the money coming from Students Fund, is usually not designated to give away things, but Union Board does have funding that's specifically for that, to buy free stuff that they give out to students. So my thoughts behind it are more that, I make sure that those conversations were had. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with you having a specifically one focus for soccer, because I agree in that sense. It's just more of where the money would come in from.
Right.
So just make sure that you have those conversations with them.
Sungmin.
It's the same comment I was going to make. Generally, have you discussed with Hawks Nest the way you seem, the goal that you have in mind seems to align very closely to the Hawks Nest. The current chair or the current head of the Hawks Nest is very active in a lot of the sports games, and if you do feel like he is not paying certain attention with certain sections, you could easily go up to ask him and he'll join those games as well and give him support in the same manner. So it's the same thing as Irma has said.
Any different points of view or questions at this time? Go Jelani, direct comment?
Oh, no. That's a
Alright,
question.
Jelani,
I just have
Melissa.
a comment on
You go first.
I just had a direct comment, but Hawksnest actually has a lot of funding for the giveaway stuff because we do it already. So if you want to like reach out, if you have trouble reaching out, you can always talk to me, or I'm part of Union Board. So if you just reach out to Union Board or Hawksnest, I'm pretty sure they would like give you a lot of funding for everything you need for giveaways.
Thank you.
July.
So, as far as like getting people to the games, do you have a certain strategy as far as advertisement or like how you'll incentivize people to come to the games? Because, you know, they do giveaways sometimes. I'm not saying you wouldn't be any different, but it's kind of hard to get the IIT student body out to the athletic, out to the games as we've seen. But, so do you have any like ideas as far as like how you're gonna pull students to the games?
As of now, or recently, I have just been talking to people like one by one. Like every game I've been to, I brought a couple people here and there, and I even got face paint on me one of the games, and so did she. It was pretty fun. But like as of now, it's just like face to face. I'm thinking about starting like a Facebook page and going on the bridge, so people whenever they cross to walk by, they'll see us. That's my goal or my plan.
Yep.
Question. So like I know in high school you mentioned that you did this. Did you guys do it for like all sports or was it just like one like
Just
football?
Just
Yeah.
football.
Well like personally like I'm an athlete, I play lacrosse and like people don't really come to our games either. So like would this be something that would carry over like through basketball and then like through like maybe like baseball and lacrosse like in the spring, or would like this just like start and die with soccer?
I'm honestly 100% open to having you go to lacrosse too, because they don't they are different seasons, of course. For this, I was thinking guys and girls soccer.
Yeah.
So I would be down to have it for lacrosse.
Cool. I mean, I love that idea, by the way, because no one goes to the games, but I like this idea.
Soren and Ethan.
So if this becomes a successful concept where you're sort of, by what the room is kind of saying, where you're sort of organizing from the sports side of things, events that can then be coordinated with Union Board or with Hawksnest specifically, do you then see the organization potentially expanding to encompass more sports?
Yeah, of course.
Ethan.
You mentioned that you previously have around 10 or so people that would like comprise the size of your organization, but does that like, is there a set structure for an executive team that's already going, and then like are there plans for having, if this were to become an organization, about like ways of having it continue with a set structure afterwards, like let's say after you graduate?
Well, as of now, it's just I go and then I'll just hit up my friends, and if they want to come with, they do. After I graduate, we'll probably meet a couple like freshmen. Up until then, I am a freshman by the way, so I have time. But I'm planning on like meeting somebody that's dedicated as I am, and then of course they'll keep it going too.
All right, we're out of time. Any motion to extend? Cool. Thank you very much. So at this point in time, we're going to ask the student organizations to leave, the proposed student organizations to leave, so we can have a discussion and vote on you guys. If you want to take your stuff with you and leave, feel free to do so. If you want to wait outside until we call you again, we'll make sure we reach out to you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Oh, the other one.
What happened? What happened? We're all very intrigued.
Like a flying fence came like this. It's like,
Punch the fence. How under the influence were you? What's occurred?
I'm not gonna make a comment.
B.
First of all, hi everyone. Sorry that I'm late. Lab went for 5 hours. That's not pleasant. We're gonna start, if I have a motion to discuss. To open discussion. You can tell I'm still out of it. we can
On which
start
one?
the discussion for 5 minutes.
On which
on GSA or
On, if you wanna do it separately or together?
separately?
Separately, okay. Then we'll do the first one for 3 minutes and then the other one for another 3 minutes. Someone, wait, hold on, let me get the timer. You
So
can start.
once again, as everyone in here knows, there's the Graduate Student Association. It used to be an organization here on campus, and they did used to hold positions and large positions in lots of other organizations. For example, they held a Senate seat here, and they even hold a seat at the PSAT forum. So if they do, if it's possible for them to come back, it'd be a nice thing. But I wouldn't recommend it being just for GSA, CHBE. The people, the two students that came in seemed to be open on making it more broad, and they said it'd be something up for discussion that they would bring up. So I would suggest tabling this until they discuss this and maybe give it the consideration of becoming just GSA, not GSA, CHBE, if you're not interested.
Soren?
I think that it is, I don't think it's our role to restrict or forcibly expand the scope of what these people are applying for. I think that they have a very strong concept tied to their major, yes, but also tied to their graduate student identity. They said that all of their social events are open to everyone, and just because they may be sort of uncomfortably willing to expand their scope if we from a position of power are saying they should, that doesn't mean that they necessarily should have to. And I think that the fact that they had contacts in their department, the fact that they've already curated events without coming to us first, I think they seem to be very structured, they seem to be very motivated, and they have a specific purpose. And organizations like that tend to succeed. And I think that if we were to artificially expand what they do, they would be less likely to succeed.
Irma, then Ethan.
I have the same thoughts about it, but I also wanted to give a comment just because it is our last Senate meeting and just to keep in mind, especially for the current
Next
executive.
one's the last one.
One more.
Huh?
Second to last.
There's one more.
What, one more?
Senate.
Oh, one more? Okay, well, I'm just saying, coming to an end, and then we're gonna have new senators. Can we please, when we ask questions, make sure that we do not ask the same ones? Because I feel like it was repeatedly what they said in their PowerPoint, we asked about, like, we asked at some point what it meant, the CHBE, and they clearly told us at the beginning what it meant. They also said it about the funding, where they got the 3,000 from. They listed the dollar, and I felt like it was very clear. They said it very clearly, and it just came off, I think, very disrespectful of us, as if we hadn't paid attention to what they were saying in that sense. And then on top of it, I feel like we kept asking them, would you consider joining this? And it's just so, like, there are similarities, but not really, and I feel like at some points it can kind of pushy. So I just wanted to put that out there, just for us to keep, like, be aware that that's how we're coming off to students who we already have trouble getting interested to be part of SGA, which are the graduate students, so.
Okay,
That was more of a comment, really long comment, but because I am
No.
not coming back, I want this to be taken into account.
I definitely appreciate this, and I just wanted to let you know and everybody know that at the end, like during open floor, I did put a section where we're gonna talk about like how to improve Senate or like senator feedback.
Okay.
So stuff like that, or if people have other comments like that, please save that for the end, and we'll talk about that. Currently, like, it still pertains to the student organization, but currently we are out of discussion time unless someone wants to.
Move to extend.
Second.
Okay. For how long?
For 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Second.
Okay. So then, Ethan.
Yeah, I just wanted to expand upon Soren's point about like having like organizations like this that may be dedicated to one major. A quick look on HawkLink already tells me that 2 other similar GSAs already exist, one for psychology students and one for MMAE. So we already have, there is already a precedent of like having just a specific GSA that is only focused on one department.
2 more after that. There's 2 more with those. There's another one for psychology and there's one for the sciences.
Okay.
That even further disproves the point, though.
What?
If you're saying there's more orgs like that, then that
Like
just further
specific
proves-
GSAs that are dedicated to one major already exist, at least, or at least are documented on HawkLink, and that's just what one quick look told me under the G section, so there could also be more beyond that, but
Okay.
that's it.
Will, and then
Oh,
so.
I'm not raising my hand.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Sorry.
Going along with that, there are so many student organizations that represent the undergraduate community of each college, of each major, and so on. And I think we got kind of hung up with the fact that GSA was appended to the beginning, but that's more of a marker of their basis of support, because obviously graduate students have different needs, different connections and so on to undergraduate students. So we have tons of undergraduate professional organizations, and I don't think that just because this is a graduate professional organization, we should be expecting something different from them.
Okay. And we're out of time. Do you want to move on to the next discussion then?
Wait, don't we vote and then move on, or then do we?
Yeah. You vote at that.
We'll do the two discussions and then we'll vote on. Vote. So, discussion for soccer super fan club. I will put that for 3 minutes. Starting now, Alyssa, Jelani, Song, Soren.
We friggin'
And then
need
some.
this at our school, people. Holy crap. Kid's a freshman and he already sees that our school has zero school spirit. Like, people here don't go to games or like about that. And like, plus, people like, yeah, maybe they want to go to a game, but like say they just like don't have anyone to go with. Like, now they can join this group and go with a bunch of people who just like want to go out and do something other than studying. Like, this is super important, and like, it will definitely start a whole chain reaction of like more school spirit and stuff. Like, man, we need this. What the heck is that thing doing?
Sorry, I was trying to put it to that side.
Jeez, no, please
Okay.
no.
Anyways, Jelani.
I feel like he would have more success working with Union Board or Hawks Nest. I think money-wise as well. Also, I think that like Alyssa said, I really enjoy his enthusiasm. But I just feel like it's really hard to mobilize the IIT student body, and like if we just give another organization like the same task of getting students to come to our games without them having like a concrete plan of like how they're going to do it other than being on the bridge and posting on Facebook, I don't think they'd really have an effective solution to actually get more students at the games. I mean, I like the idea, but like I said, I feel like it'd be better to focus his enthusiasm under a larger group such as Union Board, who has more money to allocate to solutions like that.
It was you, Soren, and then we can bring it back. Do you still have a comment, Soren?
No, I thought she had a comment.
Oh, go ahead. So it's in the order of how you had your hands
Point of
raised.
order, can we please all speak up, because it would be really hard for whoever's watching the live stream to listen?
Wait, was I too low?
No, it's just right now what's going on, they would be like, oh, did they stop talking?
Okay. So, I'm a little conflicted about this organization because yes, the need is great. And it would be great to have an organization that is sort of like a booster club for the soccer team or for sports in general on campus. But, and I'm usually somebody who hates shoehorning somebody's concept into something that already exists. But Hawks Nest does exist for that specific purpose, and I know that Hawks Nest has had limited effectiveness in the past, and that it has been problematic at times in the past. But this, as a student organization application, they don't have any need to apply for SAF funding or make room reservations, and those are two of the basic qualifications, not qualifications, but purposes of being a student organization. And from a pure utility standpoint, they could exist casually as an organization without this official designation and work to do exactly what they need to do, because they're not going to get giveaway funding from SAF. That's a fact. So they can either exist and use their own funds or work with Hawks Nest, but they're functionally not going to work any differently regardless of whether they're officially a student org or not.
Okay, I need a motion to extend time.
Second.
Okay. For how long?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Starting now. So we'll have Alyssa. Adina, sorry. And then Will.
Well, like you said, yeah, Hawk's Nest is like a thing, but like he said, they haven't gone to any of the guys' soccer games, and I've seen them at one girls' soccer game all year, and they gave out free chips, and like that was it. Like that's not like if we want them to pair with Hawk's Nest, then like Hawk's Nest needs to actually like do something. Like no offense if anybody in here is like in it, but like that's just the fact of the matter. Like I've been to every guys and girls soccer game, and Hawks Nest has been literally at one, and so it's just sad. Like that's supposed. If I didn't even know that was supposed to be like our sports supporter thing. I mean, they went to a lot of basketball games last year, but like I don't know if things are different this year. But this specific group, I think, yeah, could definitely function under Hawks Nest, but I still think that it needs to be recognized.
I think they're really underestimating the kind of money they would need. If they want to give out food and shirts, that's a lot more than $300, and they want to go to more than multiple games, things like that, that costs way more money, and it would be in their best interest to pair up with Union Board, who has a lot of money for that and could actually just, they could still identify themselves as that group and work with the Union Board and get a lot more money, and they would have a lot more success. And I think Hawks Nest not doing its job as an organization, then SGA needs to step in and say, do your job as an organization and support our games and go to our games. And if people are complaining about that, we should hear it and make that change instead of like, I just think we're setting them up for failure if we prove them as an organization and then they don't really have the funds to do what they want.
I just like kind of a point of information question for someone who's like more familiar with SAF rules than I am. If like let's just say we make them a student organization here, and if in theory Union Board is still giving them money in order to have giveaways, does that not? That's not illegal. That's not the right.
Union Board can do giveaways.
I'm sorry?
Union Board can give away stuff.
No, I know Union Board can, but once we make them an organization, and Union Board supplies them with cash, how can they use that cash?
Union Board, the giveaways that they do is funded by their own like kind of one account or something, so they could actually give them the giveaways to give away. Like that, but they can't use SAF funding. Union Board doesn't use SAF funding either for giveaways. They have their own separate account that they use for giveaways.
Okay, that's fine.
In response to Will's question, it'd be they would have to do a collaboration, basically.
Which would be the entire organization.
Okay, I need to hear a
Motion
motion.
to extend discussion for another 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Second.
All right, sorry.
Can I just ask if you're comfortable, Sarisha, could you talk about what Hawks Nest is planning for this year?
I am not personally part of Hawks Nest, I'm part of the Union Board, so I actually don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
But I do know the person who is in charge of Union Board, and I can ask them, but I personally don't know.
John?
I was just gonna say, I mean, like, not that I don't respect the fact that they, want to become something, like a separate organization just so they can, do stuff that apparently Hawks Nest is not doing, but, if we were to say to put him into Hawks Nest, I think he's like the perfect person to actually make Hawks Nest do something about it, in that case. But I don't know.
Let's go. Irma hasn't spoken
I have a
yet.
comment.
Sorry.
Yeah, because I think in the long run, he mentioned that they are wanting to expand to other sports. But to me, it seemed like it came off like they really are focusing on just soccer at the moment. So I don't know if that could change our perspectives in any way. But also he did mention like setting up at the bridge, doing all those things. I think that was probably why they decided to come here. And I mean, I did ask him if they have contacted Hawks Nest. They said they hadn't heard back from them. But maybe another reason is probably that why. Because by being with them, like they probably don't want to be then again, like, sort of forced into, like, well, if you already go to soccer games, you can go to basketball games and baseball games. Like, no, what if they just want to do soccer? Let them just do soccer. That's their preference as students here. And I think that's something that they kind of wanted to be respectful about. Just naturally, they seem to be very, like, into school and just showing their pride. So naturally, they would start showing up to other events. But I think if we do make the decision to refer them to go to Hawks Nest, we need to make it clear that we're doing it so that way they can get the funding that they need and they can use it still exclusively for their purpose, if that's what we decide to do. Because I think that's what their main purpose is. They want to focus on the one sport. So I don't think it should be, again, our job to be telling them like, oh, you should join this, and then they can give you, you know, like the funds you need for these many sports. Like, no, I think it's important on that sense, on how we address it and let them know. And also because we don't want them to take it, I don't know how to phrase it correctly, but we don't want this to just like discourage them from attending because they feel like we didn't support them.
Okay, unless we have, like, it's really important, like, the next comments to be made, I think we should move on to voting.
She was before me.
If it's really important, then I need to hear a motion.
Motion to extend by 1 minute.
Second.
Can we make it 2?
Okay.
Okay.
Is mine here? I need to talk.
Go ahead.
Okay, like, I don't understand, like, the difference between, like, us approving, like, a video game club where kids just, like, get together and play video games. Like, this is a group of people who want to get together and, like, watch a sports game. Like, I don't understand why everyone, like, I mean, like, yeah, they don't use SAF funding for, like, pizza, do they? Or is that, like, a thing? They use SAF money to buy pizza?
Yep.
Okay, well, can I say something?
Okay, yeah.
It's not our job to judge the interest of students because Illinois Tech is diverse in that manner as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that we did discuss when that club ran or
Soren
like
had his hand up.
did their. Oh, I just let me close.
No, I was trying to say.
Okay,
Sorry,
let's
we're
finish
not
mine.
cut you. Okay, finish your thought and then.
Yeah, so in that sense, I do agree, but it's the same thing. Like, it's how when they came here for the video game, just because they wanted that particular video game doesn't mean they're gonna be interested in all these different video games. Like, it's not the same. Just like the other organization, they're focusing on chemistry. They're not necessarily gonna be interested in biology and all these other subjects.
Yeah.
The same thing with soccer. Soccer's a specific sport. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll apply to different ones. So those are all things that we need to be fair in that sense. That we can't be like, well, I don't understand why they're getting their funding for video games. That's just what people prefer
No,
to do.
that's what I'm saying is that, like, people.
Move to extend by 1 minute.
Second.
But she's saying like, you can't like just keep responding to each other, like we have to be called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get you guys are going back and forth, but please make sure, raise your hands, that's part of
I'm
my
not
taste
saying
rules.
the same
Soren's
thing.
had his
That's
hand up
fine.
for a while now.
Okay, go.
So, Soren.
So I've come around to being in support of this organization. They are very limited in what they can do with SAF funding, but they have a clear purpose and they know what they want to do, and we have made it clear to them that they would have to connect to HawkLink to do something if they want to do giveaways on such. Hawk's Nest. HawkLink maybe less useful for that. So they are sort of this small scope organization, and they are sort of this single purpose organization right now that has said that they might eventually encompass a larger purpose. But just because they are limited doesn't mean we shouldn't necessarily pass them through, because they can be enthusiasts and they can work with HawkLink and still retain their own identity.
You guys want to move to voting?
Motion to close discussion.
I have a motion to extend.
Well, I heard one
Second.
motion over here
Second.
first.
Second.
His
Hers.
motion
No,
came first on the
hers.
table, so unless, there hasn't been a second to that one, which
Keystone
was
seconded.
motion to end discussion.
No, they voted to extend.
What?
Oh, I
Yeah,
Didn't someone
yeah, we
motion
voted
to
to
extend?
extend.
What I'm saying is there was a move to.
Okay. He put a motion first, he moved to end discussion, and then she put in hers afterwards, but his was the first on the table
Oh.
to end discussion.
I think
Yeah,
someone
motion to
said.
And there has been a second
Seconded.
over here. We will move to voting then. So we're gonna have to do this old-fashioned style, and basically Leo will write the votes on the board, and I want everyone, like senators or whoever's voting, including the VPs, close your eyes, put your heads down, raise your name tag when you're voting.
Oh.
Wait, what?
If you don't have a name tag, then use your hand. But the name tag helps it identify that, like, yes, this is a senator voting. So first we're gonna vote for GSA. Yes, son?
You say we're voting for yes, no, and could you also include on it?
So we'll have, I'll vote, the first one will be for yes, then no, and then abstain.
Thank you.
For voting for GSA first. CHB, everyone, eyes closed. If you're a voting member, eyes closed. Okay. If you vote yes. Keep your hands up.
Alright, hands down.
No. If you're voting no. No. Abstain. Alright, cool. It passes. If your soccer super fan club is next, eyes closed. If you're voting yes. If you're voting no.
Eyes closed.
Abstain. Alright. Eyes open. Ooh. That was a very close vote.
Yes.
Okay. That is it for new business student orgs.
What's the vote on that?
14 and 13.
No,
it doesn't.
Well, some people didn't raise their hand for abstain for the first one. For the second one, you did. Did you abstain for the first one too? Well, you should have really shared that, but.
Okay. Well, for the first one, it would still be.
Yeah. What's up?
I voted abstain for the first one.
Instead of the no.
That's what you were saying, right?
So there's two abstains. Yeah, it's 12-0. Okay, so next we have Senate elections. Two.
Okay, this is bad.
Senate elections are next week. Whee! Which means this year we're doing it like how exec elections were run last year, and it's going to be for 3 days long in order to get more people to vote in for Senate elections. We've been trying to get more visibility with advertising, nominations, and stuff too. So hopefully you guys nominate all your friends. Cool. We're gonna need all senators and the exec board, like all of us. Everybody's gonna have to sign up for at least 2 30-minute time slots. It's like an hour of your time between 3 days. All manned on deck, please, guys. I don't have the sheet right now. I was gonna pass it around during this, but then I realized that's not gonna be really fair if I started here and then it ended up there or whatever. So I will send out a link to the, give me 1 second and I'll call you. I'll send out a link at the end of today or beginning of tomorrow with that sign-up sheet. And we're gonna have multiple locations. We're planning to have a location in either 1 or 2 locations in MTCC. That's still to be decided. We're gonna have one in Herman Hall outside of the bog to kind of address commuter students to make sure those who don't pass through MTCC. And what?
No, that's not the bug.
Outside of the bog, like the stairs. It's gonna be upstairs, like where event sign up usually is for things that happen in Herman on that against that wall. And I'm working with the library to see if we can get a table set up in there as well. So hopefully as many locations as possible. Of course, we'll also have the online link so everybody can vote online. It's gonna be through HawkLink this year. And Ethan, you had your hand up.
I'm assuming that if you are a senator but are in the election that you can't run the table?
Yeah, that's the one disclaimer. If you're a senator and you're running to be a senator again next year, you cannot run the table because you're not supposed to be anywhere near the voting place. But if you are a senator and you are not running for next year, then sign up for at least 2 30-minute slots a week. Yeah.
Can you raise your hand if you're running for next year and you're a senator?
If you're a senator running again next year, please raise your hand.
You mean this year?
Sorry, this year.
This week.
Okay, so we have 2 senators that are running. That means everybody else whose hands aren't up, sign up. And I'll be reaching out to finance board advisors and justices. It's not mandatory for them, but it'd be really awesome if you guys could help out too.
I'll forward it and
Okay, cool. At least I'm, yeah, okay. We have window painting on Thursday for after 4:45 because we need to get the nomination stuff down and get actual elections up on the windows to advertise that those are going to be going on next week. Sungman would know more
I
about
thought we were
this.
just gonna keep the nomination. I thought we were just going to keep the nomination windows up since we have 4 windows reserved.
We could do that too.
Okay.
That's fine. But like the whole point is we just need to get elections up there. So if you are interested in volunteering for that, please show up at the windows after 4:45, or at least like make a note after the meeting. Come here and we'll take your name down. Ethan?
Again, I brought this up last time. Could we schedule people to clean them when we're done too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Never. Are there any comments on Senate elections? We're good? Gonna get a lot of people to vote, right? Yeah? Woo! SGA. Cool. Next, we'll have the exec reports. President.
So, while we're still talking about that, I just wanted to let you guys know, I know it's towards the end of the year, but compared to 2 weeks ago, even though we have some members absent today, I'm happy and I'm thankful that you guys came here. So thank you for listening to me last time I spoke about this, and for showing up, because this is really important for all of us. And I really, really hope that this continues for the next week, just 1 week. We might need your help on the bridge, we might need your help in window painting, and we definitely need you here next week because we do need to vote on things. So thank you for coming, and please hold on for this 1 more week so we can start strong with the new senators. Besides that, let me start by saying PSAC will resume soon. PSAC is the President Student Advisory Council. It is a body that represents students from multiple branches like athletics, Greek Council, me from SGA, and other members that I do not have on top of my head right now. But we will be having our first meeting within 2 weeks, and we will also be meeting with the president towards the end of September. I'll update you guys more as soon as I have specifics. So that's happening. And for the constitutional changes, if you remember from last time, can you open the Word doc down there? So, I did go over everything we talked about and made the changes that were suggested. Do you guys think it's necessary that I go over the highlighted parts again?
I would summarize them.
Summarize.
Briefly as you can.
So,
Note the changes that you made,
let me see if I can.
specifically maybe.
Well, the 2 that you
Let me try.
mentioned.
So,
Okay.
what we have is, when it comes to executive board, we're adding 3 members, secretary, a vice chair, and we added chief justice because chief justice serves on the executive board, but it's just not on the constitution that they are part of the executive board, so it's just a small technical thing we would like to fix. Secretary, however, is a new position we created. It's replacing some of the duties that the parliamentarian had and the VP of communication and combining them into one, which is a position that is assigned by the executive vice president because they work together all the time. And yeah, that's for that position. And then we have events chair, which will be the head of the events committee, which what we hope to make as our 4th committee. The reason for that is a lot of the feedback that we got from previous years is that we're not visible enough. We're not really reaching out. We do all these things, but we don't always hear about them. What's going on? We did have an events coordinator, but that was a one-man army, and very often they find it difficult to actually reach out to all the students and do more effective marketing. So what the hope is here is to actually get a good group of students who are motivated to get our name out there, brainstorm for events, put up nice flyers, schedules, calendars all over, potentially give giveaways as well. We're still working on that, but we need to get our name out there a lot stronger than we currently do, because we do all understand the magnitude of what SGA is, but we need to share that with the students. That's for the exec board. I also went over what events committee does, so that's another change. Yeah. So the secretary position gets rid of the parliamentarian because it includes those duties. Did I miss anything?
Thank you.
Yeah. One suggested change was that it's not called events and publicity, it's just called events. We took that and we changed it. And another change you guys requested was that originally we said that we're gonna have the events chair chosen by the exec board. But what's gonna happen is it's still gonna be chosen by the exec board, and then they're gonna come here and present to you guys for you to approve. Only then they can become events chair. With this, I think I covered everything. Do we have any questions before we vote on those changes, approve or disapprove?
Will there be a change in the bylaws anytime soon? Following up with this concept?
Once we work on it, we will get it through, yes.
Once we finish revising those as an exec board, then we'll bring it up to the new set.
Questions? All right, let's
Are we
vote.
good? Okay. Gonna be the same raise your hand kind of thing. All eyes closed, VP's eyes closed.
Actually, everybody's eyes closed.
Yeah.
Because this is for SGA, it's not just for Senate. You're a senator. You're on senator power.
Okay. So if all eyes are closed, cool. If you're voting yes, raise your hand, name tag thing.
Can you raise it higher? I'm not sure about some of you. All right.
No. Abstain. All right.
Thank
With
you,
that,
guys.
the constitutional changes are passed.
So, any questions for me? We counted them like 3 times.
It looks like someone decided to vote this time that has not been voting.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Before. Yeah. Well, no, she
was here for all
for
of
the
them.
other votes too. Sorry, bro. Before we move on, since we talked about it briefly here, I said in the email, but there will be Senate next week. It's supposed to be committee meetings, but we switched it around in order to accommodate Senate elections and working with the Constitution and what it says on when the elections are supposed to be held. So that will be your last official responsibilities, guys, as senators to come next week. I promised that I would bring a treat for you guys either this week or next week. There is nothing this week, so you know it's coming next week. So please, 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 we need you. Next Senate, the new senators are going to look to you guys to see what you guys are doing during that meeting, learn from you during that meeting, and it'll be a good view for anyone that's visiting. It's your last role as senators unless you're running again. You too. Nice.
Also, before I leave, nominations close at midnight. So if you actually know people that might have been interested, tell them. If you're watching this stream, go nominate yourself right now. But there's basically, 2 hours left? An hour and a half. As many nominations as we can is great. If you know your friends might be interested, reach out to them. Just send out those emails. It would be great.
I just nominated 4 people in like the last 5 minutes.
Nice. Additionally, push the people you nominate to fill out their candidate packet as soon as they get that. Because Tech News needs to publish their profiles, and in order to do that, we need all their candidates'
Has anybody
packets
talked to Tech News?
back. Yes.
Okay.
We've been in contact with Anupa. And so I need that by Friday, and that means the people with candidate packets, get your packets in ASAP. All right. Irma, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I heard voices really close together, so I'm not sure if maybe they wanted to. I don't know if
back
they're
in.
still outside, or maybe they had a question.
We should probably erase that then. Well,
I don't know if
So they don't use it.
It's public records. The discussions aren't. Yeah.
Oh my god, they're still out there. That's so bad.
If you want to come back, you can. If you cut out. Yeah. About the results?
Yeah, so we're gonna email it.
Yeah, we'll email you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
If they're outside, but they still can watch the live streaming.
They just, yeah.
Get it, leave it.
Some
leave it.
slight loophole in the live streaming, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technicalities.
Okay.
Moving on to academic affairs. Akash.
The
live stream during the discussion.
All right. So the University Faculty Council met on Friday, September 2nd, and they discussed several things. One of them was career services. So career services was not accepting a variety of student resume formats. They were very stubborn for students to kind of stick to one format, and that was sort of limiting a lot of expression and sort of character for the students' applications itself, and they were kind of forced to go through a lot of structural changes with their resume, which wasn't really beneficial to them. So the faculty are sort of working towards fixing that. And the other issue that came up was academic advisor engagement. There've been a lot of talk that academic advisors are not really invested in their students as much as they really should be. And that is a cause for concern because students really need like marketing help, and they need help like marketing themselves or more like networking. And they just need general guidance, throughout college and as they go forward with the classes they take and whatnot. And so that's missing. So that's another area that they're aiming to fix this year. Mentorship is another sort of category which they're trying to push forward. It's this program where they're trying to get mentors for students and groups of students. So there'll be like one mentor for maybe 10 students who are working towards a common goal. And they are trying to create a platform for this to sort of play out. So let's see how that works. Lastly, a student approached me about iPro. So he's come up with this idea called the Idea Marketplace. And what that essentially is students can sort of vote on their own iPro theme and topic that they wish to take, and they can also vote for the professor who would teach that. And so he's worked out the logistics. I'll try and bring him in one day so he can explain everything to the new senators when they're here. But for SGA's role, I think it's more of a publicity thing, and I think this push is really great because even the faculty agree that iPro is one of the selling points of IIT, and it's sort of unrefined at the moment, and it really needs to be rethought and restructured if it has to really, pick up and be successful in pushing like student businesses and whatnot. So I'm not going to get into the details of any of these points. I just want to touch on them, and then I will sort of bring them up when the new senators are in as well. But these are the updates for now. Thank you.
Akash.
Yes.
Are there any questions or comments?
Any questions or comments in general?
Fine.
I was just wondering, you're attending UGSC next week, correct?
Yes.
Was there any business for UGSC over summer that you were present at?
Nothing that I was asked to address.
Okay.
Oh, and I also have another announcement I totally forgot. Every 2 years for the Dean of Architecture, they have a review that happens. So there's a panel of faculty, and they review the dean's performances over the last 2 years and how he's changed the curriculum and sort of improved the school. And they had a student representative, and I was elected by the provost and the faculty council to represent the students for the College of Architecture as part of the dean review panel. And this review will sort of determine if his contract gets renewed or not. So this will be a big one, but I think he's been doing a good job, and we might, take him forward. I think another responsibility is that we have to select a list of tenured and non-tenured faculty that will represent the dean's constituency, and they would sort of interview other members of the community and start trying to bring funding and recognition into IIT. So I will put that forward on the table for discussion when it happens, but I just wanted you all to be aware of it right now. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have VP of Communications, Shalani.
What does communications have apostrophe? Do they all have apostrophes? Are they all possessive reports? Sorry.
Yes.
So, yeah, the last communications committee meeting was more of an introductory. I kind of wanted to see who came, like what new faces and old faces were there. I talked about how I was gonna change how we tackle projects. Really wanted them to be more objectified and more goal-oriented, and focused on a timeline rather than like kind of up in the air and ambiguous like we had before. Even though Shaparna was like the best communications of all time. But
Saying that because he's watching.
yeah, he actually tagged me in a picture that he'd screenshot. I don't want to get that. But yeah, so definitely gonna bring all these projects. I didn't put them in the slide, but I'm really pushing community service with the projects we're doing, and I'm pushing talking to WIIT and Tech News more, and also another thing that of course liaison project, and yeah, we're gonna definitely start allocating which community service members, communications committee members are gonna undergo or work on which projects next meeting. But like I said, last meeting was more of an introductory. So yeah, tell your friends, open to everybody, please join, because we have a great little community going on there.
There were a lot of new people at that meeting.
Yeah, there are 4 people, thanks to Aaron, but Aaron isn't here, but yeah, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, any questions? Cool.
Thank you. Next we have Jenna.
Thanks for our Centers of Students Life Committee. We have already finished most of our projects. The only one that's still remaining is the student discount card, which we still need the results from the Senate. I'm not sure whether we're going to talk about this today. And if not, if we don't agree to assign this, don't agree to cooperate with the third party, then we will form a student discount working group, and we're going to appeal student who is interested in this to work on it together. And also we mentioned several possible projects in the future. One is safety video improvement, because a lot of students complain that the 4-hour safety video would be too tedious and very difficult to concentrate on. And also we have some complaints to the professors and also staffs. For the complaints to the professor will probably talk to the academic affairs, but for the staffs we're looking for forming some kind of forum or giveaways for students to express themselves. And also I would like to ask the previous senators to come to our committees to make a better transition between the old members and the new members. Some projects probably you wanna hand over or make some cooperations with the new coming members. We can talk about this later.
Sure.
Okay, thank you guys. Do you have any questions?
At the last Senate information meeting, this kid came in and he said that MSV, they won't like put soap in the soap dispenser, and he's like made like a maintenance request and everything, so I just wanted you to know, like, they need big soap in MSV.
Where?
Yeah.
What floor?
He didn't specify
It's
that.
actually a thing.
He didn't.
Yeah.
Staff.
Our floor has that too.
Yeah, he's like, he's like,
Right.
and he washed my hands, so he's like, that's why he came to the Senate meeting.
If you could, seriously, find out what floor.
Okay.
And I'll get so.
Ryan, I'll talk to you afterwards too, because I think she's correct. It's more than one floor that's had instances of like.
Dang.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Guys, let's kind of bring it back. Sungmin and then Ethan. Unless was your point different than this?
This was related to the last discussion.
Was
Then-
yours also related to something?
No, I was going to bring up that you should bring that to RHA.
That's what I was also going to say.
Oh, nice.
Residence Hall Association?
I think they did, like, they filed complaints and like, what are the work
Probably
orders?
just something
and-
more they would
And they left
communicate
sticky
to
notes
the
on the
RA.
soap dispensers, like.
Well, it's fortunate that we have an RHA senator here and the president of RHA here, so.
So, let me, just for anyone unfamiliar, RHA is our Residence Hall Association. It is a student organization that serves as an advocate for on-campus residents. And if there's something systematic going on that maintenance request isn't fixing, or that talking to your RA doesn't immediately resolve, that's exactly what we're there for. So we have a Slack, IllinoisTechRHA.slack.com, and we also have an email address, rha@iit.edu. And we are doing a ton of outreach this year to make sure that we are known for that. In addition to working with SGA, which is why we have a senator who is currently Ethan, we take on all of those on our own as well.
I had a clarification. When she's talking about safety video improvement, I think what Chandron's talking about is the video that our freshmen or I don't know if it's freshmen or incoming, anybody incoming, that has to take like this crazy like hour, like
Campus
3 hour
clarity.
long,
Campus clarity,
like
yeah, that's what it's called.
drinking and drug related like safety video quiz thing. And it's kind of like, I think from like, I never had to take it, but from like what I've heard is that it's extremely tedious and needs to be rethought, I guess. So that's what that is.
I took it and it's fine. Like if you feel like, oh, I don't need to learn about alcohol, drug safety and consent, then of course you're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
But like I was like, okay, this is useful information, I guess. So I'm gonna take
We
it.
can discuss it. I just wanted to clarify what safety video improvement meant.
If anybody else has more opinions regarding like the individual project, please funnel them to Chenron and she'll kind of address them all with the senator who's in charge of this. Sungmin, you have
That's it,
any?
right?
No?
That's what it is. Also because everyone says that.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you.
So guys, I don't know how fast this will be, but right now we're passing around a laptop for you to sign up for the bridge. It's divided into 3 different sheets at the bottom for 3 different days. So if the laptop gets to you, that's great. If not, I want to ask you to stay at the end to sign up. So the laptop's right here, and it's gonna keep going around as long as we're staying here. That's all.
What I got from that was free MacBook.
No, Soren, you don't get to keep the laptop. Okay, next we have Sungmin, Finance Board Chair.
Okay. So, first and foremost, I would like to get all my candidates for Finance Board finally elected. So, I would like to introduce them all once again. Today we have Himsa, Chahat, and Aditya. Gina has withdrawn her application, so now we have 3 willing applicants. So, if you could actually get up and introduce yourself once again and
For the sake of time, I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely come up here so they can see you.
Yeah.
But Chahat and Aditya, since you guys introduced yourself last time, maybe just have Himsa
talk a little bit about yourself. Just say like a very brief statement of like why you think you'd be good as an advisor. You guys can come up.
Come on now.
And
So
you can
everyone
follow-
looking can see who these advisors are.
And you can follow up with questions and then the vote.
Just very brief, like yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Shamsa Giovanni. I've been a treasurer for multiple organizations since my freshman year at IIT, so I really know that side of how things work. And the reason I applied to be on the finance board committee this time was to actually see how the other side operates and understand that a little better.
And motion to vote. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Yes, a second. All right, would you guys please step outside and we will have a vote. They introduced themselves last meeting, right?
Yeah, some people will not be here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody here.
Motion to discuss.
We already passed the motion.
Oh.
Well, maybe coming back, they're asking if they should take their things with them.
You can take your things with you unless you want to come back. The results of the vote will be emailed to you.
Leo, it's 10:40. I have homework next midnight. I have things to do during midnight. I had class at 8:45, then I had lab from
Also, we have a suggestion
Then
for
I
Bob.
had 20 minutes. And then I had to go and then I worked this summer.
Okay, again, eyes closed, everyone, please.
Wait, what are we voting on? Are we voting?
You're voting on the, okay, as a reminder, you're gonna be voting in the 3 advisors as a slate. So you cannot, we're not voting on them individually, you're gonna be voting on all 3, Leo, yes?
I'm sorry if somebody's against this decision, but people want to discuss this, so I'm going to veto the decision to vote. And I wanna hear a motion to discuss those candidates.
Motion to discuss.
Seconded.
You want to get them back in to question before they come
No,
out?
let's discuss.
Discuss.
For how long?
2 minutes.
30 seconds.
Okay, 2 minutes is starting. Leo, then Soren.
So, something that hasn't been made very clear to you guys is that there has been a selection committee which includes senators, Sungmin, Ryan, I believe. Were you on it? Who else was on it?
Ryan's technically in it, but he doesn't, you know.
Okay, and there was advisors on it. So that selection committee actually went through applications from people, did interviews to those people, and then ended up selecting those people, those lovely people that we have right here standing, well, outside at this time. But they have been through a process with people that we trust to decide whether they're qualified or not. That is a very important piece that has not been communicated to everyone here. And they're not just random people who are walking in and be like, I think I can do it. So that is very important for you when you guys making your decision. Go ahead, Simon.
Soren and then
Piggybacking off of that, I was actually part of the selection committee. I don't know if that increases or erodes your trust in it, but we went through, I don't know how many initial applicants there were, but it was at least 3 times as many as are standing before you now.
Initially it was 17.
Yeah, so we went through and we looked at a number of different factors such as time left at the school was one consideration, but generally it was dwarfed by like, do they really have a desire to get to know the rules of finance board? A lot of them had come in and they had already read the finance board guidelines. We looked at whether they had experience being a treasurer in a student organization, or one of them has experience, he is a graduate finance major. We looked at a number of different things, possibilities related to the position, and I have full confidence in all of them as a result of that process.
Motion to end discussion.
Second.
Second.
Motion to vote.
Second.
So 2 minutes is up, right?
Yeah.
Motion discussion.
Okay.
Motion to
We're going to
vote.
vote then. So just keep everything that you heard in mind. Eyes closed. Everybody eyes closed, please. We're gonna start with yes. Keep your hands high, please. No. Abstain. All right, open your eyes. We have new advisors. Simon's just like.
I thought you guys were gonna bash them. That's why I thought you were gonna talk about it.
Okay, so I'll send that out. Congratulate your new advisors on that.
Yes.
And
Should I email them?
yeah, you can email them. Do you want to let them know about the first hearing? I meant like.
Yes,
that
I know.
one.
That's what I'm So, advising week has officially ended today at 6 p.m. So that means we will be going straight into our first hearing of the semester. It will be happening this Saturday, September 10th. It starts from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If any of you are wondering, I'm just holding my neck because it hurts. It will be happening at the MPCC conference room. So it's located at the front of MPCC towards the right. You'll be most of you can tell where it is. It's open to the student body, as I've been emphasizing all the time. So you can walk in. There will be times when you can discuss when we have breaks, and there will be an open floor at the end of the whole hearing. Additionally, there's food, so you can come and visit and get a nice lunch or breakfast. But after, my advisors get food first because they're going to be sitting there locked in for several hours throughout the day. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Judicial board. What's that?
Does it need to be first?
I just want to say one thing.
Go Hawks, go!
All right, thank you guys.
All right. In case anybody was not awake, now you are. Okay. We don't have an events
That's going
coordinator
in
yet.
minutes.
Senator report, none. Now we move
What 10 hours?
to open what?
I saw like.
Yeah, I gotta change that. Open floor. So the first thing for open floor, Sungmin. Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to bring this up to the Senate, and I would love to hear your opinions, especially since you're the group that has been elected to represent the student body. Also, this has been a point of discussion that I brought up to certain organizations, so there are some opinions and thoughts about this. So the whole idea that I'm trying to, that was brought up in the past, and I'm trying to bring back to life is the whole idea of two categories for organizations. One would be the organizations that we see every day. They come up, ask for funds, they apply for room reservations, everything. They have the full right. Another category that I'm trying to see if I can push is to see if we can start something called like something closer to interest groups. These would be almost like organizations. Basically, they would have all the rights of an organization, but they would have limited or no funds. That's still up to debate. Additionally, the whole point of this, it would be set up so new organizations or organizations that have very niche interests or don't really care for funding can apply and become organizations. Can become a group here on campus, get all the rights and reservations without being blocked for not having enough members, interest, or other things. So it's a good way it's like kind of like a startup, and it's a good way to differentiate certain groups that come in. For example, the Soccer Superfan Club would have been a great example that would be that would have been a great example for this interest group, especially since they don't ask for a lot of funds. It's a small niche organization. We would be able to see how it grows, and with enough support, it could eventually become an organization, or if they want to still just become an independent group, they can stay as they are. They would be getting rights such as reserving rooms, they would be getting help from OCL, so they would be treated like any other group here on campus, but it'd be at a lower attendance count. There'd be slight differences, basically. So, I'm guessing you have another question.
Does this mean that they won't have to come and present to the Senate and rather to a?
No, they would still come to present to the Senate, but it might be, if this thing does get set up, it might be something like Senate could say, well, we can see that you do have potential, but maybe you should start off as an interest group initially and maybe eventually grow out and move on to the next step. Something along those lines.
I'm gonna open up a 5-minute discussion on this, just to keep things on time, and then we can extend it if we need to. But I saw hands for Jelani, then Soren.
The only concern I have about this is that we'll probably debate more about like whether they should be an organization or a second. What was the term used for the interest?
I'm calling it an interest group.
Interest group, or an actual organization, and also. Do we have them apply to be an interest group or an organization, or do they apply to be an organization and then we just tell them if they're an interest group or an organization? Like how exactly does because I'm pretty sure no one would want to be an interest group. Everyone here's like the difference between the two would probably apply to be an organization, and then like we just tell them they're an interest group. You know, like I don't understand how like the process of like delegating them as an interest works.
Do you wanna answer that first?
I didn't know if it was directed at me. Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm.
So the exact logistics of it are still kind of up in the air. It's a thought that was brought up last semester, and the whole idea behind it would be it'd be a good kind of place where student organizations, student groups would be able to start. They could apply for an interest group. For example, there might be religious organizations who come to Senate meetings. They want to become a group at IIT so they can get reservations and reservation places to stay here on campus to put the posters on campus, but they can't because they're not per se under IIT. They usually don't have any interest for funds or anything else except reserving a room here. But because of that restriction, they tend to be not a popular choice to pass on. So it might be able to benefit some of the more niche organizations that are very specific or interests that are not that do not match an organization's role.
Sorry.
So the way that I had conceptualized this when we were talking about the concept last year was that the primary benefit to an organization applying for a secondary organization status would be that the application process was very streamlined, very simple, and that they wouldn't necessarily have to come and present. That it would be presented to students in such a way that when they go to apply for a student organization, on whatever form they fill out, we ask, are you just looking for a little bit of funding and a room reservation, or do you need this, this, and this? And then if they need the extra stuff, they go to a regular student organization application. But if they don't, we could just pass them through, and I don't know how the OCL processes with all of that would work, but presumably they'd be checked in on in some way and continue to be noted as active. But in my mind, the primary benefit to that status would be that they don't have to go to a roundup, that they don't have to interact with SGA, that the application process is simple, and if they have clear goals, and if they have like a separate funding source, or if they just don't need funding and they just want a place to meet, then all they have to do is fill out a form, get some sort of very quick official designation, and then be what they need to be. And that was the idea I had.
Well,
I think I might need some clarifications.
So they just wouldn't have access to SAF?
That's still up to debate. As Soren had his own thought in mind, and I had my own thought in mind because this was a discussion from last semester. The way I thought is they initially wouldn't have gotten funds from SAF because they didn't go through Senate.
Yeah,
Was my whole thought process, but it's understandable that it's be hard for them to run without funding. But I would still categorize them as running without funding initially. So it's just a bunch of students seeing if they could gather up together. I know it's very difficult, that's why.
I guess my thought is because if they can like do everything that a normal organization can do at that point, and then also request SAF, they're just an organization.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of iffy about the receiving funding.
Yeah, so
basically they would get the rights that, like, for example, reserving rooms and putting up posters around campus, which they wouldn't be able to otherwise, which would be a great benefit to certain groups out here on campus.
Okay, I need a motion to extend time.
move to extend the discussion for next meeting.
Second. Okay.
Just
Oh,
the
wait,
interest of
so
time.
you
like,
said it
I was
first.
speaking first.
What?
I said move to extend before that was said.
I didn't hear that, my bad.
What was
For
yours?
12 seconds. 1, 2,
What,
Three
finish
minutes.
your 3 minutes?
No.
You need
Is
a
there a second?
Seconded.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna punch you with your own book.
3 minutes. Sorry, Leo.
So, well, now I've got to get my train of thought back.
You got 3 minutes.
So
get it
I
back.
think
You
that
got
these
3 minutes.
organizations, I think that some of us are approaching it from sort of a different perspective than what many of these organizations would actually function like. These aren't necessarily baby organizations that would grow into larger organizations. These might be organizations that never need funding, never get bigger, and that's how they function. Like a religious group on campus that gets funding from a church, and all they need is a room reservation, and that's all they'll ever need. Or a professional organization on campus that gets funding from a national level organization, and all they need is a place to meet, and all they need is to hang posters. I think that this secondary level of organization would very much benefit groups like that will never have a use for SAF funding or for some of the higher level amenities and headaches that are involved in being officially considered a full-scale student organization. And that's sort of where I see this secondary role coming in.
Motion to end discussion.
We still have the 3 minutes
Yeah,
going
we have
with
time.
one more comment. Let's keep Leo's as the last comment and then we'll move on.
I'm sorry, Leo, that's it.
One idea that I heard once was that like, what it's just like someone is saying, it's debatable whether we give them money or not, but it just wouldn't be an application anymore. It wouldn't be a budget proposal. It would be a set number of funds that we give to every single group that we decide that should be in that category. So it's like, just to say $200 or $500 is what they get for just applying for that or for being approved for that. So they wouldn't propose for SAF, and that would be the big difference between what we already have and what is proposed. That's just one idea that was tossed around once.
Okay. You've got 40 seconds.
Or we could just like limit the amount of funds that they have, like saying like $200. They can only ask for like $200 or something like that.
Well, if they get, yeah, that's
You know, like they don't just get it; they just can only ask.
makes more sense.
Okay, so this was something that obviously it's in the beginning stages. We wanted to throw the idea out to you guys, especially like as an old Senate, to kind of get your feedback on this. And we'll pass this idea forward with, of course, the exec board, but with the new Senate as well, to see how that will be approached based on the kind of comments and feedback you guys have given. And the final thing that we have for open floor is I just want to briefly this is your chance to, if there was any kind of, thank you,
room for feedback, anything that was going really well that you think that we should keep for next year, definitely. I heard like Irma's point that, which is a good point, I think that while conveyed to the senators next year, upcoming Senate, that if you do hear things from them, make sure everybody's reading the presentations, paying attention, and not asking questions that have to do with it. Starting from the next Senate, I will start calling people out or cutting it short if you're asking a question that pertains to the presentation. So that will actually be you guys, just so you know. Other than that, if anyone has any comments that they want to say, I'll hear them now. Was there anything, Mate's rules, what did you guys think of those? The snap. One thing that I was thinking of adding on to that is to put a time limit on how long one individual person can talk for.
It says be concise.
It says be concise, but it's easier if we say like you have a minute maximum to talk. And if you have something that's going to be more important or whatever, then, you know, we can bend the rule. But if it's within that, concise can be within a minute, I think. Yes?
I have 2 more rules. Speak up for our live streamers.
How many live streamers do we have right now?
And have respect for everybody's opinions. Because I've seen, even today, that some people were just, the way they were going back and forth is not the best. I love the ideas that were discussed, but if we're more respectful of each other, it's better on the long term.
Yeah. And I'll be kind of monitoring also the debating back and forth, because you're going to have that when you have differing opinions. People are going to be like, well, I think this, but it can't be turned into like a personal debate between 2 people just because we have the rest of the Senate. So that'll be one thing that I'll probably be monitoring a little bit more just to make sure. Is there anything that is going, I heard the snaps, that I think that's a good thing too, like if you accept anything that's going well that you guys agree should be continued. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
You guys should have like a limit where you guys should like have to end
I
by,
was gonna
because this
say
is
that.
ridiculous. I want to go.
Okay.
But I have a comment on that. One idea is that, let's just say at 11, people are free to leave, but if you feel like there's still a discussion going on that you want to be part of, we can continue. How does that sound for everybody?
Yes. Not knowing that I actually
But what
wanted.
if we have to still vote on it?
No, there's not going to be votes at this time. Hopefully not.
It's open floor. One thing I'll also say, like adding on to that, is there any area that you guys feel like could be improved time-wise to make it more concise or truncate some time away from
Something
it?
that we do in WIIT is we have, at the end of the set meeting time, votes just in a big block on the issues that we face during that day. And we have a designated time to vote on everything that we managed to cover in the meeting that needed a vote. So that way, everything up to that point, we can get the vote out of the way, and then we know that everything beyond that point isn't going to be voted on in that meeting, because the meeting is officially over. So perhaps a modification of that would be if we don't vote on it before 11, it's not being voted on, and everything after that is just casual conversation.
Take that into consideration. Simon, you had your hand up. You had your hand up.
No, it's fine.
We have to.
Alyssa, then Jelani.
I think that potentially, like, for our discussions, if we, like, cause 99% of the time we motion to extend, so if we potentially just started at 5 minutes and then only allowed 1 extension for 2 minutes, I think that would make people be more concise and also allow for us to not be like motion for 3 minutes, motion for 2 minutes, motion for 1 more minute, and continue like that. So just like 2 set discussion times.
Maybe we can cap it at like 8 or 10 minutes total.
Yeah, I think we should have the ability to really talk about something in full, but I do know that plenty of us here, including myself, are guilty of going back and forth and speaking forever. So there has to be some reasonable limit. I don't think that like 5 minutes plus 2 or whatever would be enough, but I think 10 or 15 or something as an absolute cap could be useful.
Jelani, hold on a second.
If we like monitored how exactly like what percentage of time we spend on unfinished business or new business or like recruiting orgs or the exec reports, I think we can really focus on like what takes the most time and what we can do to shorten. As far as like statistical, like what we should.
Yeah, like what actually is.
What actually takes the most time, you know?
Okay. My only thing was back to Soren, like, I think the only point of like capping it shorter would be that like after 5 minutes of discussion, like I would say, I mean I can't speak for everyone, but like personally my mind is made up after like the first couple of minutes of listening to people talk, you know? So like I feel like once it gets to like 10-15 minutes, people are just like voicing their sides, or we're all just saying that we agree with something. So that was the only reason for capping it shorter, to avoid all of the extra comments.
Okay, I'm gonna take these last 3 comments and then we're gonna end this discussion. I can't tell if it's okay. Grandma, sorry.
I think I was leaning more towards just having a very like maximum sort of cap, and then just being more like everyone aware of how long we're talking for, and then just like I guess it would be your job to just like cut full sort of. Okay. Just because I feel like we've made decisions before where because we have talked about it longer, we have been able to change our minds, and then just really just think more about it, because at the end of the day we are approving organizations or making changes that aren't just like something that, I don't know, I feel like there has been times where we
So
like thought we
kind of-
felt that one way, and then we actually thought about it, talked about it, and it ended up being the opposite.
Okay.
Going along with that, well, if you're done, you're not. Okay. Going along with that, especially when we have a full Senate, there are a huge number of viewpoints and a diversity of opinions that are going to be had in this room. And some people may not introduce a new sort of idea until the end of a discussion or the middle of a discussion, and that can branch paths. So I think that while it is very important to eventually limit topic conversation, like a hard maximum limit, there are also many times where we do recognize as a room that discussion should continue, and that's why we've been extending and extending on certain occasions. Maybe some of the topics tonight weren't the best examples, but there have been times throughout the last year where we've ended up collectively sort of shifting opinion at the end of a discussion.
Sorry, Bob.
Sorry.
That was a quick comment to what Alyssa was saying. Like usually, even if it's like two sides trying to discuss, they should be able to convince everyone else why their side is the better side. So if there's a healthy discussion going on, I think it's a good idea. Usually what I personally think should stop early is when everybody's saying the same thing, which is why the snap rule is there. But as long as there's a discussion going on with two clearly different opinions, I think that should continue.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. Do I hear a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to
Second.
Oh, adjourn.
Senate is adjourned. You do nothing for 7 minutes, you do nothing. Did everybody get a chance to log in, sign up on the laptop?
That's right.
The laptop, did everybody get to sign up in the laptop? If you didn't, please just stay back for like 2 minutes to sign up.
Does it take place until 45?
Yeah, that's like okay. Sorry for that. It's just one letter. It's like, and there's like 1,000 songs, so I can't yeah, next thing I'll do is like, when I get the roster every Sunday, I'll have them confirm their names with me after the first like sentence.
Leo, and I'm sending you a
You can take the names, just not the plastic. Oh yeah, I think. Oh yeah, then you can take the names.
I'm just meeting with the publicity director. I'll send it on Facebook with the Facebook I don't have. Alright, send it right now.
Thank you.
You too.
So, today I didn't have any classes, so should have been doing, which is they told me I got an extra. They told me that I should have been.
You know them, they're probably
Well, it sucks. I basically can't go to work because I'm a waiter. Basically, I can't go to work. Like my boss. That's not the word.
What is next Friday?
Huh?
Thank you for starting.
No, but like I'll lose a lot of my hours.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'll lose all my hours for
Oh,
August.
sure, Leo, get every placard except mine and swords.
Huh?
Because I know the reason why you punted.
No, it's not, dude. It's way less. I lose so much money.
Guys, can I get a quick exec board regroup here?
Yep.
Double check your spam just in case, because I heard a couple accounts of some people, their like email
Nomination.
has been going to spam.
Right.
But I think it was more their nomination email, not their candidate packet that's been going to spam, but just in case. And if you don't find your candidate packet and you were nominated, just email us again, we'll send it to you once more.
What's your name again?
Yeah. I didn't see your nomination. They only like 80
Were
or
you
something.
nominated?
I think so. You might want
Or
to
you sent an email that you're nominated?
Yeah.
Well, it closes at
I
midnight,
checked
so
it.
you still got time, dude.
Yeah, I check it again.
Okay. Closes at midnight.
Sorry, have you gotten any
For the candidate package? Close at midnight?
No.
No,
Nominations.
Nominations, yeah.
So,
I've talked to a number of people about it, and everybody
Or
is
just
sort
send,
of like
just
on
send
board.
SGA an email
check
again
your-
here.
Yeah, also check your spam box.
What I was representing, so the way I approached that discussion with people was a little leading, so I can't really say to you what the word on the ground is, because when I approached people, I said, this is the concept that we've been talking about, because I thought that what was in my head was what was in everyone's head. But I can
First of all,
Ruffles and
the,
Snapchat
no,
in the middle
first
of
of all,
this,
it's not a.